Kabahayan at kabuhayan. Archipreneur ay narito para sa inyo. Samahan kami mga arkitekto, makipagkwentuhan, makinig ng mga payo, makibahagi sa talakayan. Para sa kabahayan at kabuhayan, mga archipreneurs ay para sa kaayusan ng mga gusali. Arkitekto para sa kabahayan at kabuhayan. Archipreneur ay narito para sa inyo. Samahan kami mga arkitekto, makipagkwentuhan, makinig ng mga payo, makibahagi sa talakayan. Para sa kabahayan at kabuhayan, mga archipreneurs ay para sa kaayusan ng mga gusali.
Yeah, yung Jojo Tolentino, di ba?
Yes. Friends tayo.
Yeah. Aside ka? Okay, so magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat. Nandito po muli tayo sa Archipreneur Kabahayan at Kabuhayan, 12 to 1. Kasama natin, of course, ang ating partner, si Architect Jean. Kumusta na, Architect Jean?
Ang pangatlong linggo na to for the new year. Di ba?
New year.
Ang bilis.
Yeah, it's our 13th episode, pero magandang balita sa lahat ng arkitekto sa buong Pilipinas at sa buong mundo, lalo sa mga Pilipino arkitekto, sa wakas, with finality, na arkitekto lang ang pwedeng kumuha, mag-prepare, mag-disenyo, mag-sign and seal ng mga architectural plans sa buong Pilipinas. So, sa mga building officials, baka naman nagtatanggap pa kayo ng mga sign ng mga engineers, no? Kaibigan po natin sila. Pero syempre, we collaborate with each other, and only for architectural plans, you should only allow architects to sign and seal architectural plans. Architect Jean,
Congrats to both of us.
congrats. So, tumakbo ka ba nitong linggo? Ako nagtararan last Sunday.
Nasa Hong
At
Kong.
aga ko gumising.
Nasa Hong Kong, doon ako tumakbo.
Gumising. Anyway, so ngayon magandang ating episode because makakasama natin ang dalawa sa mga iniidolo namin, no? In terms of practice, no? Big practice, no? Hindi lang to small practice, these are big practitioners. At of course, they started somewhere na ika nga ay inaasam ng mga panahon na yun, no? Pati ako ay nung nagsimula sila overseas, and then malalaman natin sa kanila how they start their practice in overseas and bring it here in the Philippines and be successful locally. Architect Jean, you may introduce na both our guests. No?
Okay, it is really an honor to introduce both our guests today, no? So let me start off with our first VIP guest. Si Architect Armando Dodo Casibang is a former director at AECOM Philippines and has over 25 years of experience in the hotel and resort planning, urban design and town planning, and resort and residential landscape design. He is responsible for the design of numerous award-winning projects in Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, and China. He graduated in 1990 at the University of Santo Tomas, Go-Usted College of Architecture and Fine Arts, and joined Turalba and Associates shortly after getting his license. He started his stint overseas when he moved to Hong Kong in 1994 and eventually became one of the design leaders at Belt Collins International, EDAW, and AECOM in Hong Kong and in Southeast Asia, where he led key tourism and hospitality projects. He then repatriated to the Philippines in 2010 to build AECOM's design planning and economics practice, providing leadership in design, operations, and business development. He recently joined Sharepro Inc., which is a subsidiary of Filinvest Group, of the Filinvest Group, as head of design and planning, where he is responsible for design and design management of various development projects across the conglomerate's real estate and hospitality business. So, without further ado, Dodo,
Thank you.
say a few words to welcome our viewers.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I'm so glad to be here. This is a very nice venue for advocacy, as you mentioned. I look forward to this very engaging conversation with my partner here.
All right.
Today. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Dodo. And for our next VIP guest, he is actually a batchmate and even classmate of mine at the UST.
Close that.
Nito lang yan, recently lang yan, ano? Kaka-graduate nyo lang recently.
Alright, so Abelardo or Jojo Tolentino is the driving force behind AIDEA's rise as a global leader in design and innovation. As president and CEO, he has steered the firm from its beginnings in 1995 into a pioneering multidisciplinary practice renowned for its integration of design, technology, and business strategy. Jojo's visionary leadership has transformed AIDEA into a platform of groundbreaking ideas, delivering solutions that reshape the built environment and empower communities. Guided by a belief in the transformative power of design, Jojo inspires the teams to embrace bold thinking and push the boundaries of what's possible. His ability to unite diverse talents under a shared vision has cultivated a culture of excellence, integrity, and collaboration. Known for his hands-on approach, he champions the potential of Filipino talent on the global stage, emphasizing that AIDEA is not just shaping the buildings, but creating meaningful change and redefining possibilities. Jojo's foundation in architecture from the University of Santo Tomas is bolstered by advanced studies in smart cities and intelligent buildings from the University of Salamanca and a program in real estate development in Harvard. With his strategic mindset and commitment to innovation, Jojo continues to lead AIDEA in delivering projects that inspire, uplift, and drive long-term value for clients and communities alike. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my classmate, my batchmate, and colleague in EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. Welcome, Jojo.
Thank you, Gene and Alfred, and Dodo, good to see you again. Good afternoon, fellow architects. My pleasure to be here, and I look forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. So, ito na, napakilala mo na yung mga big shot natin, Architect G, no, partner. Siguro, diretso na natin, the question, no? You mentioned their foundation is overseas. At nabasa mo yung profile nila. I would like to ask both Architect Dodo, and Architect Jojo. Pero swerte yata pag may o parehas, ano? Dodo. Palitan kaya natin pangalan natin. Parang dumadami yung money pag may zero, no? Maraming zero kasi, no? Anyway, so let's ask both of them, no? Your practice started overseas, specifically in Hong Kong, no? What did it happen? Pagka-graduate pa, ginusto nyo talaga mag-overseas? Or yung ba talaga yung yung gusto nyo mangyari, talagang to work overseas?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was partly coincidence in a way. I was working with Toralba and Associates shortly after graduation. And with my circle of new colleagues there, we were actually all interested in going abroad. For better opportunities, right?
Yes.
So for me, it was an opportunity came when somebody from Hong Kong who was already in Hong Kong, an ex-colleague, invited us and said, "Why don't you try it out here?" So I did and never went back. Basically, that was in 1994. I moved there with just one piece of luggage with a small amount of money from my dad, and never came back. I came back, like you said earlier, in 2010. So that was 19 years of my life, 16 years of my life spent in Hong Kong doing work with only two companies lang naman. So to me, it was it was something that I wanted, like you said, mainly for experience and of course for better pay. Not to say that there was not enough opportunity here. I just saw during that time it was the way to go.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to have been given that opportunity to do that. So I jumped and went for it.
So peer encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way.
Peer pressure.
Hindi naman siguro. Pero, again,
Well, looking at the time, no, even now, no, talaga pag kinumpare mo talaga salary abroad, it's talagang
Yeah.
different. Kaya siguro hirap din tayo mag-retain ng mga
Correct.
ng mga architects, no?
Correct.
At mga staff in the Philippines because of course the opportunity are better, the pay is better, no. Ganun din ba sa iyo, Architect Jojo?
Well, something similar. Pero it started, we graduated in 1987, and that was the year after the EDSA revolt. And although may trabaho sa Pilipinas, it wasn't the kind of work and the kind of project that I was looking for. And so, me and two of my classmates, two of our batchmates, thought of going to Hong Kong. Nagkayayaan and just treated that as a vacation. Went
Okay.
there. If we find a job, we'll stay. If not, we'll go back to Manila. But during that time, it was easy to find a job in Hong Kong. So after 2 weeks, we found work. And from that time, we stayed in Hong Kong. And in my case, I stayed for more than 9 years, almost 10 years. Pero bago ko umalis, I knew that I wanted to return to the Philippines. Now, the timing as to when I will return and in what manner, hindi ko alam. But I think that yung intent, yung made me decide to yung whenever I choose a company, my question is, may project ba yan sa Pilipinas? Or will it bring me closer to my return to the Philippines in the future? So after working with a local Hong Kong firm for 5 years, I came across HOK. So yung HOK during that time was Master Planning Port Bonifacio. They were doing project in the Philippines. So to me, that was an attraction. So kahit na I had to take a pay cut and I needed to had to take on a lower position, I took that opportunity because I knew na maybe there will come a time that I can manage HOK projects in the Philippines. And that happened. So after 4 years, another British company called me and asked if I'm willing to return to Manila and manage their local office. That was RMJN. And after thinking about it for a week, sabi ko baka ito na yung time for me to return to the Philippines. This might be the opening that God is giving me. So after thinking about it, after a week I decided, sige, I'll return. And after 6 weeks, I packed up and moved my life to the Philippines. And this is that was 98. We're now at 2020. Right? This is my 27th year. Back home. Yes. That was my journey.
Wow, so from vacation to
Yeah.
to work, no, and then stayed for a
pero
while.
balikan ko lang sandali yung dalawa. Kasi you went to Hong Kong, you did not have any idea of sino yung papasukan ninyo. Paano ninyo, how did you do your shopping or your job hunting?
We just wrote letters. In my case, I wrote, called friends.
Wala pa masyadong email.
Wala pa. Hindi pa mo email noon. Wala pang text message.
Wala pa. Fax machine pa siguro.
Dial up yung mga internet.
Yeah, so yun? We wrote letters. Waited for these companies to call. My first company in Hong Kong actually rejected me kasi sabi nila isa lang ang kailangan. So they already accepted one architect. Pero after a week, they called back and asked if I'm still interested. Sabi ko yes. And
Back then it was very easy because Hong Kong was open to a change of status, remember? You can stay there and then your sponsor can submit an application to sponsor you.
Right.
And then in a month's time, the immigration department is very efficient. So in a month's time or a couple of weeks time,
May work permit
you
ka
get a
na
work permit.
So Hong Kong was open to foreign workers.
At the time, yeah.
At that time. While the Philippines was, the economy was low, Hong Kong was booming.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
Kaya they really needed yung foreign architects
Yeah.
to augment yung shortage ng staffing sa Hong Kong.
So maybe to answer your question, we were all risk takers then. We were
Yeah.
young. We were young. We felt like, oh, I've got nothing much to lose.
Yeah.
So that was the
Yeah.
spirit that we had.
Pero curious lang ako, Sir Dodo and Sir Jojo. No? When you went to Hong Kong, you're already licensed architect.
Yes.
Very licensed architect. Kasi marami ngayon nag-abroad. Partner Gene.
Ah.
Hindi pa license. Sabi ko nga iba, huwag niyo masyadong itaya. Maglisensya muna kayo para meron kayong fallback if ever. Di ko meron.
Yeah.
So,
In my case kasi, I don't feel na my architecture journey is complete without a license.
Same here. Yeah.
Whatever I do, if I go abroad or yung do something else, I made sure na licensed ako.
ayun. Yung magandang tip yun sa lahat ng mga aspiring.
Get
no?
registered.
Oo.
Yeah.
Do it.
Lalo na ngayon, exam ngayon.
Oh,
Exam
today,
week ngayon,
ano?
exam
First
week.
day.
Today.
Good luck sa lahat na nag-exam.
Good luck sa inyo.
Good luck. Yun. Well, that's a quite journey, no, for both of our guests. No? Now, because now, Architect Jojo, you're back in the Philippines, and your firm is ranked number 39 in the world architecture practice last year. No? Nakita mo ba to na darating ka sa ganitong point na from employment in Hong Kong, then putting up your own firm from RMJM, di ba? You put up your own firm. And then nakita mo ba na later on you'll be on top of the architecture practice in the Philippines or in the world?
Actually, Alfred, hindi, no? When we went on our own, my objective was just to survive every month.
Every month.
And that's the difficulty of going on your own. That challenge, I wouldn't say difficulty pala, it should be the challenge, is you have to run your business well. And in our case, coming from a group na I knew I had someone to support me. Pag naipit ako dito sa Pilipinas, somebody can send me money meron akong support system then. When you go on your own, sagot mo lahat, the finances, running the business, looking after the design, yung looking for new clients. And that was difficult. So to me, siguro for the first 3 years, our objective is just to make ends meet and to make sure that the business is running. We never thought that we will grow this big, to be truthful.
How many employees did you start with?
We started with 17 yata employees.
17?
Yes.
17 na kaagad.
17, yes. Including everyone, including myself, the admin. And we just slowly grew the business.
But
Hindi
this
na
guy's
slowly,
being
yun.
this guy's being too humble.
Oo.
I met him in HOK. We were working together, diba?
Yeah.
And I knew he was gonna be one of the big name architects in the future. I knew already because of the way he is, his work ethic, and his philosophy. So he's just being humble.
No, he has 240 employees.
Yeah, we have over 300 now.
Over 300. no?
I guess being big, being successful is a consequence of hard work. So to me, what's important is we don't lose that attitude, that drive for quality work, client satisfaction, delivery. And now looking back, we believe na that's what brought the company to where it is. That's the reason why we retain clients. The reason why clients kept on referring us to new clients. It's really the work that you do. Yung professionalism natin in our business.
But when you look back at the curriculum in college, diba? It's all about design.
Yeah.
We were never really taught about the business of architecture,
Yeah.
which Jojo and I learned
Yes.
in our history of work abroad and locally. So parang self-taught, and we were engaging in things that we were clueless about, but we were forced to learn it. The finances of the business of architecture.
And now that you're doing that with Sharepro,
I was doing it for AECOM. For Sharepro, it's getting there. But AECOM actually and Ido at the time really taught me how to run a business. Right?
Yeah, and just to build up on Dodo's yung point, that's a very good one. Hong Kong was a learning opportunity for me.
Everyone's fast kasi in Hong Kong eh. Lahat
Yeah,
kasi,
and also,
pati maglakad sila, magsalita, lahat, everything is
we
fast.
both
fast
were
na.
fortunate to come from a big firm.
Yeah.
Pero it's so different how big firms are run.
Oh yeah.
You are, as a senior person there, you're yung mandated to look after the business side of your project, not only the design side.
Yeah.
Okay,
You have revenue targets.
And there's that rigor, that discipline na may review yon. In our case, it was every week.
Yeah.
You see your financials per project.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you are questioned if a project is losing money.
Right.
Why is it losing money?
Right.
Yeah, why is it losing money? Are you not charging a change order, for example?
Right. Not only that, you have to send out the billings periodically.
Yeah,
and
you
make sure
collect.
get paid. You collect.
Well, you write the proposal, and many times you have to market, write the proposal, close it, run the project,
Manage people.
Manage your people. But it gives you a very para a complete picture of how a project is run.
Yeah.
Parang you're running talaga the business of the company talaga. No?
Yeah.
Whether it's yours or not, di ba talaga?
Yes.
You train talaga.
We
You're
were
trained.
taught to be entrepreneurs here.
Yeah.
It's not your own, pero they're giving you that freedom and that attitude to make
Yung
business
mindset
decisions.
binigay sa inyo sa Hong Kong.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and then run this, make it successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess when you go up the corporate ladder, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
You can't be like designer at age 40 and not be concerned about project finances. So it's inevitable. You're gonna have to learn it. You're gonna have to be responsible for revenue. Otherwise, you're gonna be doing design all your life. So it's really hard to progress.
Pero one of the things I noticed then during my days in Hong Kong, not all architects are interested in the business side. Even if you offer them, meron pa nga iba ipopromote, just be open to looking at the business side, and they choose not to be promoted. Because I guess partly baka yun yung preference nila. And my opinion in a big way, because it's not our orientation.
Yeah.
Our orientation is architecture is design. If you're a good designer, you will be successful as an architect.
Yeah.
Pero the real world is, the entry level is that you should be good in design. So you have to be good at other things
Correct.
beyond design
Correct.
to have a chance of being successful.
Yeah.
So let me stop you, both of you right there, and then ask, no? Kasi a lot of, so this show is all about archipreneurship.
Yes.
So we're encouraging entrepreneurship among not just the young, but also the old architects. No? So
More experience.
More
naman.
experience.
Tenure.
Tenure.
Yes.
I excuse
Or
myself.
season.
So what is kasi corporate architecture is in all its rigid format of structure, accountability, no, and the rest, no, versus entrepreneurship in architecture, entrepreneurial approach, no?
Yeah.
Kasi ito kanina sinabi mo proposal, so may step by step ka, di ba? Ito dito sa mga entrepreneurs natin, what advice would you can you, or maybe you can share experiences in terms of sketchan ko na ba to? O babatuhan ko muna ng proposal? Diba? Yan yung pala, ang dami kong mga text messages, pakitanong naman kay Sir Jojo, kay Sir Dodo, kung pwedeng matulungan kami. Kasi litong-lito na kami.
Yeah, marami tayong kasamahan ganyan. How they will...
Wag na natin.
Una-una, pag-design, tama si Architect Jojo, basic sa atin yan.
Oo.
Lahat tayo magaling mag-design. Lalo mo pagka lisensyado ka na, you're a very good designer. Lalo mo pag taga-UST ka.
Yeah.
Hindi naman sa pagkagaling naman ibang school. Nagtuturo tayo sa ibang school. Of course, magaling tayo mag-design. Of course, yung business side yung importante. Tama si Architect Jojo, Architect Dodo. Yung paano ma-manage yung finances.
Oo.
Diba?
Tsaka, to pull the trigger or not to pull the trigger. So perhaps you can share experiences or give some advice to our viewers, diba? In the tens of thousands.
Paano maningil?
Oo, paano maningil?
Paano magbigay ng proposal, di ba?
Lalo na we're coming out of a pandemic.
Yeah. But I think like any other service-oriented professional or business, you need to be very client-focused. First, initially, you need to understand your client fully. Sometimes naman, di ba, architectures, like, I want this designer to work with me, I don't want this, I want to be working. It's because they have trust and confidence in your capabilities and what you deliver. So I think that's the number one thing you need to really focus on. And of course, your people is next. You know, how you build a team, a strong team, comes next. People you can depend on, maintain high morale in the group, and then you look at the finances. I'm lucky to have been trained in the corporate world about being conscious on how much you spend on specific projects. Means time. You know, our commodity is our time, right? We're like lawyers in a way. It's like how much time you spend, you're limited with your budget. So you should always be cognizant of that fact. Otherwise, you're just there to lose money. So there's no point, right? Mag-design ka lang, be an artist or something. So you owe it to your staff to make money, and they owe you that also in service, right? So I think like be client focused, be partners with your clients. You're talking about billing, offering freebies. I think
At the start.
all of us do that at some
At
point.
the onset, at the
Yeah,
onset.
but once you earn that respect and confidence from your client, everything will be smooth sailing through there. So I think those are the 3 pointers that I want to impart for young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Kaya naman nabanggit si Architect Jojo, no? Sabi niya when he was abroad, was focused on going in a company, not a project in the Philippines. At the same time, having the right projects na kukuhanin. For you, Sir Jojo, ano ba yung mga right projects for you? Na tingin mong you will be excited on this? Is it sa size? Is it the category of the design that you will go into? Ano ba? Hospitality ba yan? Residential ba yan? Commercial ba
apart from
yan?
geographic location.
Malaki ba siya? O maliit ba siya? Kailangan? O tingin mo?
Sagutin nga muna niya yung tanong,
Yeah.
ha?
Oo.
Baka makalimutan niya.
Yeah.
To pull the trigger or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's actually a good question.
Sorry.
Yeah. Pero before that, let me just say na having been an entrepreneur, a startup company at one point, and now converting that company into a more corporate practice. Ano yun magkaiba? Because when you're an entrepreneur, you practically have to do everything on your own. You have to provide for everything. Lahat ng problema, ikaw yung may sagot. Ano?
Yeah.
So yung entrepreneurial skills mo have to be is tested at that stage. Ano? You have to be good in client relationship, managing projects, managing finances. Pero at some point, when the company starts to grow, you have to accept that you have to share those responsibilities with your co-leaders.
Yeah.
And for entrepreneurs, that's sometimes a big jump.
Yeah.
Kasi lahat naman tayo, I'm sure, naisip natin na we can do better if we do it ourselves. Pero there comes a point na we become the bottleneck. And we're the one that impedes growth. So dapat meron ding acceptance na you have to restructure your management system, your company, and get co-leaders to help you manage the firm. And that's what happened to us. Siguro one of the things I learned working with a big firm is you have to transition yourself from an entrepreneur to a more corporate setup. Na you're just there to give directions and set up the system. So you become process-oriented and you always adjust yung processes mo. And that's what we're doing up to now. We don't stop. Every year we make adjustments. It's like siguro fixing a car or a motor engine, you adjust mo kahit maliit so
Calibrate.
that calibrate, you maintain. Now on the other question, to do or not to do, to me what's important is we architects should understand we're not selling a tangible product, we're selling services. So ang foundation ng ating service is trust. So I always tell my people, whenever we take on a project, we always have to make sure that we are positioning ourselves as a trusted advisor to our clients. Because if a client trusts you, madaling mag-bill, madaling humingi ng change order, di ba? If you give favor, you know that they will honor their commitment. Na at some point, they'll give you an engagement. And that's sometimes what we forget. Na consultant is not a bad term and not a bad word, but advisor is a better term. Now you have to evolve from a consultant to a trusted advisor.
Better yet, a partner.
Yeah, or a partner. Kasi, ano ay nabigay, relationship matters in business. It's all about relationship, di ba?
Yeah.
All of us will make mistake.
Yeah, walang perfecto, di ba?
Oo, pero if you have a good relationship, you'll solve things together. Pag wala ka relationship, someone will highlight your mistake, and if you're not fortunate, baka matanggal ka pa dun sa project.
Kaya whenever we do our performance assessment or the way we assess ourselves, it's always a good sign if you have repeat clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they come back to you regularly, that's a good sign that you're doing
Yeah.
good service.
We always remind our people na our role is to make our clients successful. Because if they're successful, they will make us successful as well.
Yeah, repeat lagi sila.
Yeah, importante yun eh. Many clients accuse architects of just parang pushing their agenda and not caring what the client will spend.
Yeah.
And if even if the project's at risk of not doing well commercially.
Right.
So we have to depart from that thinking and always think of the client first.
Parang putting up a monument lagi, no? Parang lagi niya.
Yeah, yung kasi success is defined in different ways. Different clients have their different definitions of success. Our role is to agree with them or align with them kung ano yun.
Yeah.
What is success for them and how can we help you achieve that goal?
Yeah. How to realize their vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess for our viewers out there, relationship building is tantamount to your own precursor or determinant whether to pull the trigger or not, di ba? Kasi you're occupying an advisory role.
Yes. Yes. And siguro just to put more clarity, professional relationship building. It has to be professional. Because as professionals, meron tayong responsibility pareho, no, the client and the architect.
Yeah.
Our responsibility is to give them the best possible service. The responsibility is to recognize our service, our exceptional service, by compensating us fairly. Diba? So, ganun dapat ang relationship.
Tama. So nandiyan pa rin yung dapat marunong tayong makiramdam.
Oo, kasi marami tayong tulad nila, marami rin tayo ding mga kaibigan, no? Or nagtatrabaho sa abroad, bumalik dito, put up their own firm, and now they are having projects, no? And some of them are successful, some of them are starting. And going back to my question, when you come back here, ano yung una mong tinignan na magiging project mo dapat? Should be big ba, like what you are doing in Hong Kong, or it would be good enough to, sabi mo nga, to survive for the next 3 years?
Partner, singitan ko ng not just the criteria of the size or the type of projects, but singitan ko na rin ng kailan in terms of like how many years do you give yourself na parang kailan ba dapat bumalik?
Yeah, correct.
Diba?
Right.
Sorry to
Kasi maraming ganyan, maraming ganyan nag-isip eh. Mga kaibigan natin nasa Dubai, nasa Saudi,
When is the right time?
when is the right, nasa Asia, no?
Do you want to start?
Okay, sige. For me, coming back here was more of a, well, I followed the love of my life basically. Hi, wife.
Pinakamahalaga yun.
I came back in 2010. Not because I wanted to settle here per se and work here, but because of my wife. So anyway, there was no. It wasn't a choice of projects for me. It was being in the Philippines, and I was given that chance. It happened in 2008, but I eventually moved in 2010. So here came an opportunity. I grabbed it. There was no timeline for me. It just magically happened that time. I got married 4 years later. So to me, it was not a difficult decision, and it wasn't something I planned. I'm lucky because the opportunity came. So the opportunity was that I was to create a small team for AECOM in the Philippines. Because of the mergers and acquisitions, suddenly we have an office in the Philippines. So I said, I'll go. I'll be there. And so that lasted about 9 years. I think the learning for me is that the culture, the work ethic in the Philippines is very different. I'm lucky to have been exposed to the global practice and the tools that are not readily available in the country. The tools that we use in our intranet, everything, it's all like very easily accessible to me, and also the training and exposure abroad. So part of our learnings abroad is like we are allowed or pushed to travel relevant to the projects, in areas relevant to the project. So in a way, that was my experience. It wasn't a timeline or a deadline, but also I came at an age where I can still flex myself and learn new things, and then be able to engage with local clients that eventually became my partners now. Like the clients, the company I work with now I've been working with them since I came back. So
Yeah.
that's how I built that relationship. No? So to me, that was also a welcome treat coming back. But that was something that wasn't really planned. So my takeaway from all that was that when you see an opportunity like that, look at all your options and see, like si Jojo was saying, every step that I take needs to be a step to go home, right? To me, it just was offered to me, so I grabbed it. And my advice is be brave, calculating but brave. Don't be afraid to take risks. Believe in yourself, that your capabilities, your strengths, and just go with it. To answer your question about when is a good time, if you want to reestablish yourself in the architecture practice, you should come. I mean, to probably be specific about age, maybe about 40-ish. Right?
40-ish na. Medyo pasok pa tayo dun, no?
40-ish. Or earlier, if you can. Like, Jojo probably came back earlier. Earlier if you can. I think yun
Kasi 40-ish, medyo marami ka na experience that time. di ba?
correct. And you can still engage with new clients,
Yeah.
build your network. Because when you're
So quantify it in terms of, like, let's say, if you've been like 5 years, 10 years, 8 years.
Oh, you abroad?
Yeah, in terms
Abroad?
of like, how long do you need to be, or is there even such a thing as a number?
for me, there is, because there's a learning curve, right?
Oo.
So when you're abroad, you need to maximize your presence there. To me, it was 16 years.
16 years.
16, yeah, 16 years. When I came back, it's like half of my life, right? So to me, that's a good number. I could have stayed on a little bit longer, but to me, a 20-year cap would be fair. Depends on what age you go away.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that we probably don't do is that even if we're here away, we need to connect, maintain connections in the Philippines. If your goal is to come back, because once you lose that connection, it's really really hard to bring it back over, start all over. So your goal has to be, geared towards that. Your actions need to be geared towards that.
To me, siguro the more basic decision for a young architect is what is my professional plan for myself. And I have to say na those who are overseas, based overseas, hindi naman lahat ang plano nila is to return. Diba? And there's nothing wrong with that. Diba? Pero if your plan is to return to the Philippines, of course, if you have a family, malaki na yung risk nun. And maraming hindi bumabalik sa Pilipinas because they consider their family, their setup.
True.
That's why in my case, I returned when I was 32. I was single. And so to me, it was easier. Dahil I'm only responsible for myself. Diba?
Yeah.
And not to say na if you're married and if you have a family, it's not easy to return, pero mas maraming impediment. So for practical purposes, my experience is siguro in the first 10 to 15 years of your career, yun na yung window mo to return. Because at that time, you should have been seasoned enough that you know how to run projects, you probably acquired the basic management skills.
Yeah.
that will equip you when you return and go on your own or become a senior manager in a firm. Now, also, we have to remember, hindi naman lahat matututunan natin. Di ba? So you have to also give yourself that parang allowance or that opportunity to learn by doing. Then that's very important. I mean, risk din yun.
Right.
Because you will make mistakes before you get better. And you just have to accept that that's the way it is. You know? Even if you're very intelligent, even if you feel na you know everything, when you go to practice, it's different. Because there are things you cannot control. The more important thing is to learn how to be resilient and how to parang recover from setbacks. And you will only do that kung malinaw din yung goal mo. Yeah.
So talking about resiliency,
Yes.
how is it now that you nakauwi na kayo, di ba?
Yes.
And then pandemic hit,
Yeah.
di ba? How was that for you, both of you?
How they weather the crisis.
Yeah, I mean, di ba, parang with such a big responsibility on your shoulders and you're back home, di ba? How was that? How did you
It
guys
was,
go through
in
it?
my case, it was challenging. First of all, I did not expect the pandemic to last 2 years. I thought that was just a 3-month thing. So when it lasted a year, we got worried. When it extended to 2 years, so I thought personally that was serious. Pero in our case, we were fortunate na we were able to build a substantial war chest before the pandemic hit. And so we just have to accept the fact na we have to use whatever savings we have to sustain our people.
Correct.
Because the objective was not to let go of anyone. Our thinking then sa leadership team is when we needed our people, they were there. During good times, they were there to work with us, and that's why the company became profitable. Etong time na nangangailangan sila, we should reassure them that we will do our best to keep them employed. So that was parang the thinking of management.
I see.
Now, also luckily, we invested a lot in technology. So before the pandemic hit, we had the ability to work from home, to work remotely, to work on Teams, and that investment paid off. During pandemic, the objective, sabi ko sa mga tao, okay, the objective is to continue working and for us to be able to build. Because if we can build, there's a chance we can get cash coming in. So yun yung naging rin doon, objective. And I guess that's where the business side of me came in. Okay, it's not just doing the project. The objective is to get cash in. And so for 2 years, that's how we managed. And luckily, when the pandemic eased off, we were still intact. The other thing we did
May mga casualties ba? May nawala bang experience?
we had one of our ex-senior managers who passed away. And dalawa, and one accountant. That was very unfortunate. Pero, hindi maiwasan yun during the pandemic.
Pero sa yung mental health, nag-resign ba?
Meron din.
Meron din.
Lalo na nung nagpabalik na. So one of the other things na we thought we did well is we said, we have to bring back that camaraderie even in a virtual environment. So we tasked our HR to para organize weekly catch-ups with the whole team virtually, all of us. Just to get to know how others are doing, to parang tell them that we're here, And a lot of our people appreciated that.
That's good.
Na in the absence of a face-to-face event, there was still a venue for us to get together.
Galing.
That's good.
I was on sabbatical during the pandemic. My son was born in 2019, and pandemic broke March of 2020. But I heard from what I heard from Filinvest and Sharepro, they did exactly the same thing. Don't let go of anyone. We'll take you through this. The good thing about a conglomerate like ours, like Filinvest, is that we have a war chest, that
A lot
we
of
were
horses.
we were able to sustain everything with, sharing the resources of the whole conglomerate. So I salute the Gotianon family for that. They were very much involved in that whole process of trying to manage that, and people are happy with that. So now they're thriving. So it's good.
Okay. So, touching about yung keeping in touch, no? Your firm is known for, being a pioneer,
Yeah,
in VR
Yeah,
and
VDC.
yeah, correct. No?
Yeah.
Can you expound on why that became, paano ba naging direction sa inyo, VR?
Okay. Well, first of all, we always look for opportunities to differentiate the practice. And when we noticed na lumalaki na yung firm, what we also saw is that we're hiring people, but are we efficient? Yun yung laging question dyan, di ba? Hindi naman lahat dadaanin mo sa headcount, because at some point that will catch up and you'll realize na you're not profitable.
Laki sa overhead, di ba?
Yeah, malaking overhead. That's one. Second is, personally, I have a leaning towards technology. Actually, if I did not become an architect, I would have been a computer engineer. So, even
same here.
Yeah, di ba?
Same here,
Parang, so talagang even at the early age of my practice, I was really leaning towards technology. So in one strat plan session, we asked ourselves, how do we differentiate? Design is very subjective, yeah. No one can claim that they're the best designer. Pero the question for us is, how can we prepare the firm so that we can be at par with what's happening outside of the country? Second, how can we use that as a differentiator in the local business? And we looked at several options. Hindi lang naman technology, hindi lang BDC ang tinignan namin. We also looked at restructuring the company. So we became studios, hindi lang departmental.
Okay.
So it's like a small office within a big office.
Oh,
So everyone,
Kanya-kanyang team para sa
yeah,
studio.
yes.
Yeah.
And we said we want to develop architects that are well-rounded.
Okay.
Because that we believe is more sustainable and we can be more competitive. So we looked at that, the organization, the technology, and the process. So that's why we came across that in BIM, we did the research. In 2005, we committed to develop our BIM system in the office. And in 2012, we reached the point na, okay, hindi lang pala tayo pwede mag-BIM. We can also create our own programs. So we hired computer programmers. For 1 year, we trained them to think like architects. And then after that, we asked them to create optimization tools so that we can dovetail that with BIM. And that we can do our work more efficiently.
So now is in the growing the business mode.
Yeah.
Right? What other services do we offer?
What's
Thinking
a
like
differentiator, di ba?
Yeah.
Para you're top of mind in the industry
Exactly.
pagdating dito. Di ba?
Exactly.
Kanina nabanggit nila Architect Jin yung retaining the network, sabi nga niya, Architect Dodo, di ba? Kailangan you're always in
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
These two gentlemen are the charter members of Hong Kong, UAP Hong Kong, no? Chapter, no? Yun na kailangan keep in touch. You're still part of the organization in the Philippines while abroad, no? And do you think being part of an organization like UAP is a good network when you come back and you start your life again in the Philippines when you're overseas?
Oh, definitely. It's just where we're very much challenged in this country, in this city, with all the traffic and all that. So it's hard to really connect physically, no. But it's always been a good platform for people to engage, understand, the trends in the market, and really just work together, find opportunities to work together or meet people. Definitely, I'm all for that. That's why I'm retaining my membership in Hong Kong, just to be connected with them.
Good.
As an overseas Filipino, I guess this is a general sentiment. I know I'm overseas, but I still want to know what's happening in the Philippines. And part of siguro my coping mechanism is to to be connected in whatever fashion, whatever way possible in yung affairs of Pilipinas. So that's why personally we keep in touch with our families, with our friends on a professional level. UAP is the way, it's a platform because yung the biggest group of association for architects, diba? And that's also my advice to young architects based overseas. You know, get connected with people locally because first of all you learn what's happening in the country. Second, it's important for us as Filipino architects to find an opportunity to help out. Marami rin gano'n na Pinoy na how can I contribute? I'm overseas, and I think UAP is one venue to contribute.
So you're saying this on the cusp of our 50th anniversary?
Yes.
So
Yes.
very good timing. So ladies and gentlemen, that was not scripted.
Yeah.
It was very much from the heart.
Yeah.
Diba? Partner?
Kailangan talaga be part of something that is big, which is UAP also, no? United Architects of Philippines. We have chapters overseas, no? Our foreign-based chapters. Kung wala pa, gaya na ginawa ng dalawang to, nagbuo sila. Diba? Nagbuo sila sa Hong Kong. No? During the time of one of our idol, Architect Manio, no?
Yes,
As national president at the time. No? And now you're with what chapter? Of course, Makati chapter. Of course, Architect Dodo is still with Hong Kong. So nag-GGMM siya sa Hong Kong ngayon, nag-gas mag-GMM.
Zoom ba? Zoom.
Pero malamang to pumunta lagi doon. No?
Parang may excuse. May excuse na
Good reason to visit Hong Kong.
Good visit. Lalo na pag-anniversary, di ba? Yeah.
Correct.
Ayun. You're both have a global exposure, no? And what's your advice for Filipinos, so not only architects, no? Filipinos abroad, na they would like to go back to the Philippines and start, of course, and then yung age, no? How they will start yung to put up a business, whether they're architect or not. Of course, sabi na kanina yung timing, yung age, yung dapat kilala mo, meron ka network. Pero, still difficult maraming consideration Pero, what's your advice talaga for those in abroad, no, when they come back? Anong dapat nilang simulang gawin para they would stand on their feet, whether they employ or they have their own business?
I think personally, to me, it's important that you learn as much as you can when you're abroad, because there are things in the Philippines, or the market in the Philippines is very limited. If you see the projects that most of us were involved in abroad, these are like really large projects. So there's really plenty of opportunity to learn from them. I think coming back here is, once you've done that, and you should always be cognizant of that fact that I'm here to learn, I'm here to pick up new things. When you come back, you need to brand yourself. I think that's my advice. You need to brand yourself. How are you different from your peers? What's your value proposition, so to speak?
Yeah.
Right? What can I bring to the table that nobody else hasn't? Right? So and I think knowing what that is of value that nobody else can provide is something that you need to probably think about.
That you learn abroad, diba?
That you learn abroad, yeah. Because it's all about brand, and it's all about your what value you bring to the table.
So you're saying is think globally, but
yeah.
act locally. Act local.
That's
How you will adapt it to local. So ganun din ba ang advice mo, Sir Jojo?
Yes, I agree with Dodo. Well, first of all, you have to be committed to returning to the country. Kasi it's a big decision to return to the Philippines. And if you have decided to return to the Philippines, pick up as much capability, as much skill as you can. Not only on the hard skills, which is design, but equally important on the soft skills, which is the business side, learning how to market, learning how to handle clients, we mentioned earlier na yun ang dalawang ingredients, di ba? Design being the base service, pero you need more than design to be successful. Part of also your preparation is reconnecting yourself with the Philippines market. And in my case, that was one of the drivers for me to choose HOK during that time as yung my new employer, because I knew na they can offer me that parang opportunity to run projects in the Philippines, and that was my way of reconnecting to the local market. So may preparation yan eh.
Right.
May game plan.
Yeah,
Di ba?
prepare.
As
Balik
with
naman natin.
anything. Yeah.
Balik naman natin Architect G. Sila kasi galing abroad to pumunta rito. Having all that knowledge and then put it here in the Philippines that they are now successful. No? And for other naman, tingin nila, no, they don't have a lot of opportunity here in the Philippines. Ano naman kailangan lang i-prepare if they want to work naman abroad?
Good question. I think, first of all, understand that there's a different expectation, different standards to go working overseas.
Yeah.
No, learning what it is and preparing for for those standards while you're here is important. Pareho rin, you need a strategy. Mahirap yung sasalang tayo doon without knowing kung ano
Ibang-ibang laro, iba-ibang laban doon.
laro. It's better na dito pa lang nalaman natin and acquire natin yung skill so that when we go abroad, we already have something to offer. Something of value.
So tama ba na, kasi both of you had a few years here first. Eh?
Yes,
Di ba?
yes.
So would you suggest like a local foundation first in terms of exposure to the local practice before thinking about an overseas practice, if you may?
I think definitely working in a firm or
Yeah.
working on your own, having to deal with external clients or people is a plus, right? But I won't discourage young fresh grads to jump in.
So
grab that opportunity.
So our education here is enough to to blend in with the.
Well, I think so.
others.
Given the proper mentor, getting into that environment. I had a really interesting experience moving into Hong Kong for the first time. I was so proud of myself. I passed the board, blah blah blah. I was relegated to erasing like little things in the back room, right? So I felt sorry for myself back then. But you don't really stop. You don't really sulk and cry, right? So you just move forward. After a few years, they recognize your capabilities. You go up the ladder. But I think one of the more important things is know that there's a very different culture. I was surprised that Jojo came exactly at an hour, 5 minutes before the call time, like myself. And you guys were late. So that's something that we learned, working abroad. It's like you come 10 minutes early. I'm not bashing you guys, but I realized
5 minutes tayo.
that's why. So in Hong Kong, it was like that for me. It's like you really have to be ready for all these different cultures.
Yeah.
I've had the chance to work with French people, Taiwanese people, everybody, all walks of life, right? And they all tend to think differently. So what I did was like try to understand how they think and how they operate, and pick up from there. But otherwise, you wouldn't know when you're in the Philippines, right? Because we all think the same. We tend to, but abroad, it's that you're exposed to all these different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think yun yung
At doon sa abroad, kahit they scold you, di ba? Pagalitan ka.
Yeah.
Dire-diretso,
walang personal.
personalan. Dito kasi pag pinagalitan mo, personal eh.
Correct. And also, I think one of the things that we need to be stronger at is being able to communicate.
Yeah.
Kasi we're speaking, we're not speaking Tagalog, we're speaking English most of the time abroad. So you should be able to express your ideas well. Otherwise, hindi kayo magkakaintindihan.
Yes.
Diba? So you
Correct.
have to find that commonality and you have to be strong at it. So that's, I think, that you need to sharpen
And
your
I think in
skills.
Hong Kong, we're a better speaker than the locals.
That's true. But you have to find that common
So you also have
commonality.
to develop that confidence as well.
Exactly.
As you go along.
Oh.
So you don't touch on a good point. The world was very different then when we were young,
Yeah.
into Hong Kong. As you said, walang internet.
Yeah.
And I think during our generation, IQ and EQ is important.
Yeah.
ano. But now that the world has gotten smaller and people are more connected, what's also important is what you call CQ, yung cultural quotient. So in understanding how other people work, ano yung culture nila, what are the sensitivities, what are the things that they expect from you. For example, yung punctuality. We're known to be late lagi, di ba? Filipino, yun ang branding natin eh. Japanese is the reverse. If you're on time, you're late. You have to be 15 minutes ahead of time. That's their standard. Ano? American is on the dot. So knowing these things, ano, yung is important in business. Knowing the right etiquette, di ba? The right protocols, and that is what ano yung CQ is all about, di ba? So one of the things I learned working in Hong Kong and now dealing with overseas people, yung people, multicultural teams, is ano, no, you need to learn and you need to understand who you're working with from a cultural perspective.
No? Galing.
Ayun, so tapos sigla mo suguli tayo kahit hindi pa tayo kumakain.
Ang bilis na oras.
Ang bilis na oras. So I think kaya nung bago tong episode to, nagtatanong sila.
Oo.
Baka ano ba yung tatanong sa amin?
Oo.
Sabi ko, kwentuhan lang tayo. Wala namang masyado. We're all colleagues, di ba? Architect Jean, your question na tinatanong lagi natin sa ating mga guests.
Meron kaming million peso question.
Million peso.
Palagi, no? But I'll tweak it a little bit, no? Kasi alam naman natin may pera talaga sa global practice,
Yes,
di ba?
yes.
So, I guess ang tanong ko sa inyong dalawa is what was the biggest trade-off or ano yung parang pinakamalaking sakripisyo ninyo na parang alam naman natin may sakripisyo rin. Alam na natin may pera, di ba? Pero para sa inyo, ano yung pinakamalaking yung sacrifice or trade-off na ginawa nyo when you went overseas? So that you can share with our viewers, with our kababayans, di ba? Na parang you have to be prepared for what, di ba? Medyo napaisip sila, partner. Di ba?
Pinakamalaking trade-off
Oo.
for me, apart from the usual, being away from
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
Of course, that's number one. Being away from friends. But when you're young, you build new friends, right?
Yeah.
You grow your network. I think secondary would be losing touch of, assuming you want to come back to the country. Losing connection, because I've lost connection with a lot of people. While I was away for 16 years. So yun yung pinaka-loss. Especially now that I'm here, it's really hard to re-establish those connections, right? Apart from a professional level, yung mga personal connections mo are forever lost na. So yun yung isa sa mga ano. But when I was abroad, I was coming back here because of work also every month or so. That gave me an opportunity to come back here for work almost every month. So, and plus it's so close. Yeah, that's the main thing, I think. Those are the main things.
Wala akong maisip na trade-off, ano. It's more of yung challenge. As Dodo mentioned, you lose yung personal connection, time with family. Kasi yung time, di mo na mababalik yan, di ba? And, there's a point na our parents aged. And like my dad passed away 15 years ago. Looking back, it would have been good for me to have spent more time with him. So yun, those are the things na na challenge sa'yo. Pero ang challenge sa akin is to undo the things that I know didn't apply to my new life in Hong Kong.
Right.
Kasi there's a point in your career din, pag lumipat ka doon, you're trying to apply what you know here to in a company or in an industry na iba na yung standard. And to me, it took some time to accept that.
Right.
Diba? To undo and to redo yourself. That to me was the challenge. Tapos going back, ganun din. You've acquired their ethics, yung standards doon. Now, how do you temper that knowing na iba rin naman yung aabutan mo dito?
Yeah.
And also, partly, sharing that knowledge to your colleague and then having the objective na okay, to also help them improve. Yeah. So that to me was a challenge. Pero yung trade-off na I felt na may nawala sa akin, I didn't look at it. I looked at my overseas stint as just a phase in my professional development.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, at some point, I wanted to return. So maybe what I would consider as a trade-off is kung hindi nangyari na nakabalik ako dito. That events forced me to stay or to be overseas.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Siguro may last question ako. Pahirit lang na
Yeah.
question. Kasi these two gentlemen marami nanonood ngayon at marami makakapanood nito na they're wondering, no? Marami sa atin mga arkitekto, they also have their own firms, but you're both in a big firm, no? Do you accept collaboration with small firms or other architects or other engineers, no? This is the time to announce. So if you have a welcoming collaboration with them, no?
So,
Yeah, for us, it's Sharepro is a Filinvest company, like mentioned. It's basically a group of professionals in engineering, architecture, and all the trades. Right now, we're supporting the conglomerate, but eventually we're looking at growing that. No, so a big part of our responsibility is design management. So we do hire consultants. We do hire big and small consultants.
Yun,
I was just talking to
Yan na.
Jojo about an opportunity that has come along. Yeah, there's plenty of
Pwede na tayo
opportunity.
mag-apply, Architect Jean.
Architecture, interior design, even engineering, survey, all the trades that are involved in land development. So yeah, we're open for
No, architects and firms out there, you're welcome to contact, no? Architect Casibang for collaboration. And if you want to be a consultant of their firm, no?
Yeah.
Joe?
well, for us, interesting that you asked that question. One of our core principles in the office is collaborative. So we encourage collaboration both internally and also with partners, because we believe that no one person can do a project. It is a result of yung talent ng iba-ibang tao.
Yeah.
And we also don't believe na we have to create those capabilities all in-house. That's one way of doing it. In fact, that's the old way of doing it. Pero if we want to move fast, we have to be open to collaboration.
Yun.
So, regardless of maliit, malaking firm, what's important to us is the capability that that person or that firm brings to a project.
Yeah.
So, together we can create something better.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you very much. So, well, everything comes to an end. I hope we could have more time to speak to these two gentlemen. Siguro we could have another part 2, no? Or part 3 of them. Or depends sa oras sila. Napaka-busy ng dalawang ito. Well, again, if bago pa lang po sa aming channel, please like and subscribe Vantage Point Media in your Facebook and YouTube account, no? Lagi na po kami dito. Every Tuesday, we discuss issues that involve the architecture, the built environment. And it's good that we have Architect Jojo and Architect Dodo here to share with you, all you guys, no? There's always life after overseas. And that's all. Thank you very much, Architect Jean, Architect Jojo, Architect Dodo, and for joining us. And of course, Architect Jean for always being here as my partner in Archipreneur Show, Kabahayan at Kabuhayan. Thank you very much, guys, and see you soon. Bye.
Arkitekto para sa kabahayan at kabuhayan. Archipreneur ay narito para sa inyo. Samahan kami mga arkitekto, makipagkwentuhan, makinig ng mga payo, makibahagi sa talakayan. Para sa kabahayan at kabuhayan, mga entrepreneurs ay para sa kaayusan ng mga gusali.